Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to walk you through the process of changing the oil in your Polaris FST. And this is the same process whether it's a 2006 like mine all the way up to a 2014. The process is the same regardless of if it's a Dragon, a Touring, a IQ Turbo, whatever it may be. If you have the four-stroke motor, this is the process you're going to want to use to change oil. There's, and just to clarify, there's two ways to do this. There's the Polaris way, which is, they give you the process on how to do it when you buy the kit, or you can do it this way, which is a lot easier, and everything else. Just to clarify, the way Polaris wants you to do it is you essentially install a bypass harness into the ignition system, and what you do is you start it up and you allow the starter to pump the oil out of the engine. Doing it this way, you don't have to do it. You don't have to buy the kit from Polaris, and you don't have to wear down your battery or put excess wear and tear on your starter. So let's just take a look at this, the way the engine set it in here, just to clarify the reason why it is. Right, so if you guys have an FST or again an IQ LXT, a Dragon Turbo or something like that, there is no drain valve in the engine. Well, let me clarify that. There is a drain valve, but there's no way to get at it. So the way you have to do the oil change on this sled is essentially you have to evacuate all the oil from the oiling system. And essentially what you can do is you're going to be doing everything through here. So just looking at the oil box up here, you have two hoses coming out. You have one at the top. That is a vent. That is not the one you're going to be using to pump the oil out. Then you have the intake, well, the supply, not the intake, but the supply line. And if you look on the hose, Polaris did a nice job as far as labeling all the hoses. So it says there to oil reservoir. So that's, this is the one you want. So, but essentially, this process is called the suck and pump. I'll get into a little bit more detail as we go along. But essentially, what you can do is you're going to remove the dipstick. You're going to put a transfer pump into the reservoir. You're going to pump out 2 quarts, and then you're going to use a catch can to pump another quart of oil out of this. So with that being said, why don't we take a walk over to the bench, and I'm going to show you what you guys are going to need to get this done. Okay, so we're at the bench. So essentially what you're going to need is you're going to need 3 quarts of Polaris PS4. Right, 1, 2, 3. You need 2 bottles, and one bottle is really specific. One really doesn't matter. We're going to use this one for the transfer pump. All right. It really doesn't matter what you use for that one, but as long as you have an opening big enough to put the hose through for the transfer pump. And then this is the more important one, because this is the one we're going to use to allow the engine to pump the oil out. So you want something with an inlet that's big enough for the hose to fit into, and something that's clear, so you can take reference of how much oil that you're pumping out. So you need 2 bottles, 3 quarts of PS4, and a hand transfer pump. I picked this one up at Harbor Freight for less than 10 bucks. This is pretty much the only thing I use it for, and it does a great job. So go ahead and grab that, and the last thing you're going to need is a funnel and a Sharpie. So a couple things about PS4 and the history of PS4 from Polaris. So when originally PS4 came out, it was originally, the rating on it was 0W40, and then they changed it to 0W50. And for whatever reason, they just changed it again. Now it's 5W50. Alright. Polaris still has it under the same name of PS4, but it seems like the weighting is always changing for whatever reason. But whether you buy the kit or you buy the quart separately, you're going to have PS4 in the kit. All right, so let's talk about the oil and versus the kit. So for the oil, it's $11, or it's roughly $10, $11 per quart. So this is $30 right here. If you buy the kit from Polaris, it's $60, right? So in the kit, you get PS4, 3 quarts. You get the filter, which the filter is on back order from my dealer. That's why I'm not showing it today. And then you get the harness that is the bypass for the ignition. So it's up to you as far as what you guys want to do. You can buy the kit, or you can buy the oil and the filter separately. It's about half the cost. So, you know, I always like to try to save money as much as I can, and I don't see the point of giving $30 away to Polaris just for an electrical bypass. So again, you can buy the oil or you can buy the kit. It really doesn't matter. All right, so I'm going to walk you through the process as far as what you guys need to do, and we'll go from there. So follow along. All right, so the first thing you guys are going to want to do is open up 1 quart of the PS4, grab a funnel, put it in your large bottle, and dump it into the container. Don't throw the PS4 quart container away. You're going to need it. All right, so what you're going to do is, once you pour it in there, you're going to take your Sharpie and you're going to make a reference line as far as where the level is in that container. Because essentially what you're going to do is you're going to use that reference line when you're pumping the oil out to know that you've pumped the quart out. So what you're going to do is, you know, again, empty it into the container, make a reference line, and what you're going to do after that is you're going to take that PS4, dump it back into the container, and we're going to use it later down the process. Okay, so now we're at the point where we want to start using the transfer pump to get rid of all the oil that's in the oil reservoir box. So very important, what you need to do first is start the sled up, let it come up to temp, anywhere from 125 to 150 degrees. So the oiling system is warm and it's not cold. And what you want to do is you basically want to look at the supply line, grab it, make sure it's warm, make sure it's not cold, and then you know, once that's warm between 125 and 150 degrees, you know that oil's been flowing through the system for a while, and everything's up in the oil reservoir and everything else. So next thing you want to do is you're going to take the dipstick and tube out and put this to the side. And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab your transfer pump, stick it in the through the dipstick tube, grab your other bottle, and start pumping the oil out of the reservoir. All right, so here's the how the setup is going to look. You got the transfer pump coming out of the oil reservoir, and then you have your out tube going to your other bottle. So one thing to be aware of is when you put your suction line into the oil reservoir, what you want to do is just put enough so it's hitting the bottom of the reservoir box. Don't put like 8 feet of the transfer pump into the reservoir, because what's going to happen is it's going to coil up, and you know the end of the tube may be up here. So just put in enough to essentially hit the bottom. You'll know it by feel. As soon as you hit it, you'll just feel it hit on the bottom, and then as you're pumping it out, just move the tube around, and then you'll know when the reservoir is empty, because what will happen is you'll just start blowing air bubbles into the your catch can. All right, so this is completes the first phase of the oil removal process, and we're going to go on to the second part. All right, so next step is after you empty the oil reservoir with the transfer pump, you can take 2 of the 3 quarts and put them back into the oil reservoir. So just 2, and we'll do the other one in a minute. All right, so we're at the next step in the process. So what you're going to do is take the supply line, go into the oil reservoir, take it off, and put it into the your bottle that has the reference line on it. So what you're going to do is you're going to start the sled up, hold on to the bottle, hold on to the tube, so make sure it doesn't pop out. There's not going to be a lot of pressure on it, just so you're not caught by surprise. And what you do is you're going to pump out a quart of oil. This is going to go by pretty quick. It's probably going to take less than 5 seconds to pump out a quart. You're going to be somewhat surprised on how much oil transfer comes out of that pump. So just hold on to it, start it, let it run for like 5 seconds, and just take it off and make sure you're up to your reference line. Okay, so we pumped out a quart of oil out of the engine, and it took all of 10 seconds, if that, and we're up right up to the reference line. So what's nice about doing it like this, you know, in the event that you do screw it up and you pump out too much, you can just pour it back in the reservoir, and then just go back to your reference line, and then just pour in the last quart of the PS4 into the system. So essentially that's it. So let's go ahead and put the last quart. Alright, so at this point you should have put in the last quart of the PS4, reattached the supply line to the oil reservoir, and then reinserted the dipstick into the tube. So what you want to do at this point to make sure you have the right oil level, you know, again, the instructions are right on the oil reservoir in case you don't know what it is. But what you're going to do is you're going to run it, let it come up to temperature again, make sure the oil is circulating through the system, let it come up to temp, make sure the sled is level. It's probably the most important thing. And then what you're going to do is you're going to shut it off, let it sit for 3 minutes, and then check the level on the dipstick. Unlike other engines, you don't check the oil while it's running because it doesn't give a good reading because of all the oil being pumped out of the system and everything else. Alright, so the next step in the process, which I'm not going to show you because I don't have the filter. My dealer didn't have the filter in stock. It's on order, but I'll show you where it is, and the process to remove it is pretty simple. So what it is, once you're done over on this side, you know, everything's buttoned up, you checked your levels and everything else. What you're going to do is you're going to come over to the other side of the sled, and the filter is right down there, and it's pretty much the same type of filter in a lot of the modern cars. It's a cartridge style filter. The filter exists underneath that housing, and the way you want to get at it, it's simple. Just take the air box off. Again, the way to take it off, take loosen up the hose clamp that goes into the turbo inlet, take the hose clamp that goes from the oil venting passage off in the air box, and then you're going to take the relay box off, and then this whole assembly just comes right out, and then you have access to the filter right there. So it's pretty simple. Even if I had the filter, it'd probably tell me it takes like 5 minutes to do it. It's very easy. So essentially that's it. That's how you change the oil on your FST. I think that this process is a lot easier than doing the Polaris way, because Polaris essentially has you digging into all the electrics and everything else, and using the battery and the starter to pump the oil out, and you know, that's 3 quarts, and probably take, I don't know, maybe a minute to pump it out. But doing it this way, you can have the whole thing done in the time it would take you to rip the whole thing apart to do the electrics and everything else. The way Polaris has it designed really doesn't make any sense. So I hope this helps everybody out. Again, the process really can be easier. Just take your time and a couple simple tools, and you'll be good to go, and you're all set for the season. So I hope this helps everybody out. If anybody has any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, or anything like that, go ahead and put them in the comments box, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.